What's up, guys? Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to another good show of Let's Talk with Rodney. And I know you guys like, where have you been, Rodney? Well, I have not been going. I'm still working. I'm actually focusing on my podcast, but I had to come through for my girl Natasha Lee for International Women's History Month, and she's a phenomenal woman. For the people who don't know you, Natasha, because I already know you. I had the pleasure of interviewing this beautiful woman. For the people who don't know you, who need to know you, tell them what you do, sis.
Oh, I sure will. So, hey guys, I am Natasha Lee, who is affectionately known as That Girl, and I am the founder of Being That Girl and Make Your Dreams Come True, which is a PBO outsourcing firm. I am a motivational speaker, a soon to be author, a guest editor for several magazines. By trade, computer engineer. Look, I'm just like all sorts of things.
So
But
you
I'm
are
so
every
happy to
woman.
be here. Thank you so much for having me, Rodney. That's
Come
what they
on,
say. I don't
Whitney.
know. I don't say nothing all the
I'm
time.
every woman. Hey,
Every woman, it's all in
all in
me.
me. If I could sing, I'd be signed. I would be
That's
doing this.
it.
I'd be somewhere on the stage, but I can't, so I gotta talk. But let's get into you. So tell us about your early childhood that formed Natasha Lee.
Man, Natasha Lee, early childhood. Um, just a very just imaginative child, who always excelled in school, full of joy, a mother who and a mother and a father who invested in every single dream that I ever went to them and told them about. And so that's where, the foundation of my desire of entrepreneurship stemmed from. In fact, it was my mother who planted the seed in me. One day I had to walk to school in a snowstorm in Michigan. If you guys know about the 90s snowstorm, you'd be really, really crazy. Like the snow, it would be past your knees, like
Now let
literally,
me go and call
okay, for
CPS
reasons.
from some years ago to call your parents for what let you walk in the snow.
Walked in the snow, and it was no snow days back then. Now the kids get snow days for an inch of snow, and we crack up. We used to be walking in 9 inches of snow. Like, what is what is going
Oh
on?
my
And so
God.
I was the kid in the family, though. No, it used to be no, for seriously, probably about 5, 6, past the knees for sure, below zero, like definitely negative numbers. And it was again a period of time where school didn't believe in closing down. And my mother was really lenient on things like that. She didn't, care if we stayed home or any of that. It was like never like she didn't care whether or not we stayed home on those snow days. It's like she enjoyed this, right? And I remember being the sibling that cried if I didn't go to school. Like, what you mean school closed? Like, Ma, I gotta go to school. So my siblings, this day, they stayed home. And as I'm walking, I'm asking my mom, like, Mom, why are we walking? Where is my dad at? She's like, he had to work overtime. And I said, well, how many hours is that? And she explained. And then I said, well, how old do you have to be to retire? And she told me 60. And I said, I'm not working until I'm 60, Brian. And she said, well, how old do you want to be when you retire? I told her 30. And she said, well, work for it. And so she gave me three options. She gave me like, a couple of professions, a doctor, a lawyer, and she explained what they did. And then she said an entrepreneur, a business owner. And she explained that you get to be a boss, you get to make your own hours, you don't have to work when you don't want to, and all of that. So I'm like, cool, I'm an entrepreneur. This is,
Okay, your mama planted
where
seeds.
where
Planted
I should be.
seeds. There you go.
Yeah,
Women
she planted
inspiring
the
women. I
seed,
love
okay?
it. So before we get into that, so what does International Women History Month means to you?
Oh man, so many things just overall. When I think about International Women's Month, I think about celebrating women, number one, for starters. And that is actually something that I do anyway, every month, every day, you know? So that is what that girl is all about. But then I also think about when we did not have a single right, when we were treated less than, our ideas had to be whispered into the ears of men, you know what I'm saying, to hear a voice as far as like equality and things like that, and being able to um, receive the same pay and the same respect as others, you know. And so there were tons of women all over the world, all nationalities, who have stood before me and have experienced many things and have not been able to make it to a place of freedom or entrepreneurship because the opportunity was not given to them. So for me living and shining my light and being able to do the things that they fought for me to do is really what I'm super excited about. I have a long history of amazing women in my family, down to the young ladies, my young little cousins and nieces. And um, I look at just the progress from the board, from across the board, from the beginning to the end, from going down into babies. Like girls will now have, by the time they grow up, then we'll have created another pathway for them to walk through. The barriers will be broken. So I appreciate the women who made it so for me to just be this free spirited entrepreneur and make the rules myself.
So with being a female entrepreneur, which is very male dominated, so when you go into these rooms, how does it make you feel?
I mean, I guess not now, 15 years later in entrepreneurship, it doesn't make me feel anything. You know what I'm saying? But honored. I think I started my company when I was 23 years old. I would always be the youngest person in the room, almost the only woman in the room, and the only black person in the room. So I've lived my life like that. And so initially, when I would go into these rooms, I would feel very intimidated. I was intimidated by the other people that were there, and could even feel, less than, or how did I get here? Like, why am I here? Or why was I given this opportunity? And so um, then I felt like I had to prove a point, or raise the bar to be heard. And then I also discovered, as years went on, is that the respect that is given is the respect that is demanded. And so it turned from me being, kind of withdrawn and not holding my presence in the room, that made the difference from how I was treated. So I learned to walk into the room with a presence that demanded respect. And so now I feel amazing.
That's true. But let's, 'cause every entrepreneur have this spirit, it's no matter you male or female. So what do you do when you have your bad days? When you feel like, I'm just tired, I'm wow. What motivates you to keep going?
Today is one of those days. And so today is one of those days. Honestly, the end result is what keeps me going. The fact that oftentimes I'm not working alone. I have a team. I have contractors that I need to pay who are relying on me as well. So I have children, and even though my sons are grown now, they're still home and building their businesses and creating their life. They're 19 and 21, and then I have a daughter that's 14. So my ex-husband and I have three beautiful children who definitely is counting on me to continue to be an example. So me knowing that I still have breath, in my body to do these things, I literally just keep going off of God's energy and the fact that I have children and, people in the world who are dependent on me to lead them.
I love that. I love that. And that's another good thing too. how do you balance? Because I don't know how to turn it off. Like when I'm at my desktop or I'm at my computer, this 2015 computer we on right now, I can sit here and work for 14 hours straight, not realizing that it's like 5 o'clock in the morning, 6 o'clock in the morning, 7 o'clock in the morning, and I have yet to went to sleep. So how do you balance your entrepreneur life and your home life?
Oh wow, that's such a great question to ask, and it's one that I actually preach to the core with people about finding the balance because I too, when I'm passionate about projects, I go in. So I first of all, that's just a hustle you got in you where you're trying to, get the job done. So don't ever strip that away. I think entrepreneurs should keep that grizzly hustle, that gorilla hustle, But when it comes to balance, the balance comes in when you have a personal life. You're not a robot. And so when you're an entrepreneur, because we are sleeping, and walking our dream each day, we become consumed, and oftentimes entrepreneurs' brand becomes them. Now, when you ask them about their day or ask them who they are, they only talk about their business. There's no more laughter or or fun going on, right? And so I think it's very important to delegate tasks, to outsource things that you don't need to do. I think it's important to set family days. I think it's important to have multiple phone lines so that you can turn your business line off and only operate personal. Um, I remember starting when I first started my company, my phone, well, it still rings uncontrollably, right? But then it was uncontrollable. And I remember my family just being so irritated with the fact that if we're eating dinner or trying to have a great time, I got to pick up the phone and be business Natasha. And then, that leadership role comes out and then it comes and spills into your home and to your relationships and all of those things. So I think it's so important that we be human and not just a robot and an entrepreneur making passion and making things happen for other people. We need to take into account our needs and be kind to ourselves. So I think that balance comes from you wanting to have a personal life and not just be a means to an end or a resource for just people. No one wants to live like that. And the sooner we figure that out in entrepreneurship, the more happier our lives are. And I had to discover that myself.
Now, look, said a mouthful, but before we go to commercial break, I want to ask you this because you are a part of women history. Like, Natasha, you are doing it. You have young girls looking up to you and saying, "I want to be just like Natasha." Whether you don't believe it or not, it's true. You hear on the show, so it gotta be true.
Right.
So, what do you say to young girls who are watching right now? What do you want your legacy to be if they were to write a story about Natasha Lee?
It would be a story of resilience. It would be a story of constantly overcoming challenges, overcoming grief, and all while being simply brilliant in her own right. And I think that the story would read that I did not give up by any means for any reason at all, And I think that story is the most important story that you can gather from me and my experiences is the fact that regardless of me being a teenage mom twice, regardless of me being the only young girl or black woman or only female in a room, regardless of the knowledge that was not imparted to me that I did not understand, I still went out and did it anyway. I am self made. I am no different than Madam C.J. Walker when she built her enterprise outside of her home. I did the very same thing, and since then have impacted so many people all around the world. So I think that the story of resilience and the story to say that I don't care where you're from. You could be from the hood, the suburbs, or wherever you are. You can become whoever you want to become when you feel like becoming it.
You know what? That's beautiful. And right now, you guys, we gotta pay some bills, but we will be come back talk to Natasha Lee. So let's get these bills paid because I can't work for free.
Located in Gulfport, Mississippi, Race Bakes specializes in home baked desserts from vanilla pound and Italian cream cheese cakes to highly recommended and oh so delicious German white chocolate cake. Race Bakes can be reached via Facebook, email, or by phone at 601-791-1393. Try Race Bakes today. You won't be disappointed because where there's a whisk, there's a way. And please tell them your boy Rodney Wash sent you.
All right, that covered that bill for this show. But for you guys just now tuned in, I am talking to a number woman named Natasha Lee, who is just out here striving and guiding the women for International Women's History Month. I am honored to have her on. And we just left off with what was her legacy, and she gave a wonderful, wonderful speech today. But now I want to move on and talk about some, some real life stuff of being an entrepreneur, things that happen. So if you had to go back in time and rebuild your brand, what would you change?
Oh my gosh, what would I change? First of all, if I had to go back into time and make changes, it would be making sure that my business was formatted correctly. The formation and formality of my company would be um, established in a different way, you know.
Hmm.
I would hire less family and friends. And I would give, and when I say I will hire less family and friends, but I would give them opportunities. I still would give them opportunities, but I would not hire them to work with me or whatever. I've realized that combination hasn't always been rewarding. I would delegate. I would hire an accountant much more sooner and delegate payroll responsibilities. I would um, I would do press and media a lot sooner. Um, and I would focus on building an executive team right out the door versus me being the executive team all by myself. So, oh, and then finally, I for the last 15 years, excluding last year, was the first year that I really received a grant from anyone. And so my companies, every one that I've developed and built, I paid for them myself. And so I think that just looking back on it now, I would definitely pursue funding and business credit to help me evolve much quicker than I have.
You know what? You really said it all. So you spoke for every business on every place. But let's talk about the importance of having a team because you are right. We cannot do it alone. One thing I tell people, if I can just go real quick about this, when you are an entrepreneur, I'm a Christian, so I'm not trying to offend nobody, but I praise the Lord. I feel like every entrepreneur is a blessing. And the reason why when you are a blessing, we entrepreneur, because God's blessed you with a gift where your gift can pay for people food, pay for people housing, pay for people lifestyle, because what you are doing are putting money in people's pockets to help live your dream. So with that being said, how important is it of having a team?
Team is so essential in everything. No one who has an extreme amount of wealth has been able to accomplish it by themselves. Period. Nobody. No one who's ever had a mission or a commission has been able to accomplish it by themselves. So, a team, what we see, is extremely vital in how the operation is ran. And I think always defining what each person role is and putting people in their positions that they can grow and use their own skill set is amazing. And also making sure again you eliminate people quickly
Natasha, did we lose you? She froze up. Jesus. Okay. Let's see. Let's try this. Okay, let's try this. Let's try this. Okay. Then let's move back to stream. Oh my goodness, we lost Natasha. She was just giving a wonderful speech. Oh my goodness, you guys, we lost Natasha. Let's just hold on, I look weird. Let's try this. So let's just, you guys, wait for Natasha to get back on. I don't really know what happened to her, but you know, Natasha was really dropping some good gems, and I am thoroughly enjoying this conversation. So I'm just gonna wait a couple of minutes before she can get back on. But one thing I want you guys to take from this conversation is being an entrepreneur is not easy. And especially being a woman in this industry is not easy. And I really enjoyed picking. I was honored when her publicist sent her to me to interview her because I think it's very important that we highlight women who are actually the backbone to everything that any man does, whether you gay, straight, whatever. Women are the backbone to this world. And I think it was very important to have a strong woman who is excelling in business, who is doing the thing. As you can see, her Instagram is scrolling on the bottom of her page. Make sure y'all go follow her because Natasha is doing great things. And she has came back on. So let's add her back to the show.
I'm not sure what happened. Sorry
It's
about
okay. You know, I held you down.
that. We just was talking about the reliability of the phone, right? And did it not do that to me? That's so bold. So, what was the last question that we were asked? I mean, that I was answering.
The importance of having a team.
Yeah, so the team is everything. Having a reliable team has definitely helped me get to where I am at. I've had plenty of teams. You'll go through plenty of teams over a 15-year span, you know. So I've met a ton of people. I put a lot of people in amazing positions as well as giving them opportunities. And I really do feel like that in order for anyone to constantly evolve, that you're going to have to do it with a group of amazing people, whether you're working with them, employer standpoint, partner or consulting or contractor standpoint, regardless, you need someone more than you.
That's true. Let's talk about this because you know it was hard for me at first to fire people. Because you know you'd be like, you know what, if I fire them, this person is making this such amount for me, and I know they're living off of me. But when it comes to a point where you have to let people go, how do you find it to be less difficult as you went on?
Man, it gets so much less difficult. You just like, you realize that this is your name. You realize that this is your legacy and your business, right? And then the reason why you want to fire them is certainly for a reason. And we hold on to that. I have held on to bad people just because I felt like I grew an attachment to them, or I knew what their circumstances was. I believed in them more than they believed in themselves. Um, just for a variety of different reasons that I would keep people, but not always respect my business. And honestly, to be honest, I've let so many people come into my company and just, do things that wasn't okay initially, And it took me some time to be able to have that courage to say, you know what, goodbye, I don't need you. Or if this isn't, you're not doing it, we're not evolving, or we're not bringing in new clients, or you're not delivering, goodbye. And what you also find is that when you say goodbye, they always find something else, and you're stuck either repairing what they weren't doing or hiring more people to replace, the staff or whatever the case may be. So it can get really, really tricky when you're hiring and firing people, right? But now not only did I get more relaxed with that, but anybody that I put in a leadership role, I let them know from the door. If you want to fire somebody, fire them. You do not need a permission from me. So I think I'm a little bit more, just too acclimated with firing people now. But oftentimes, oftentimes I do not regret it. It probably was a good move to make. And then other times I miss people who I let go, or, be like, dang, those are some good, characteristics. So I think that's one of the hardest things to do, though, knowing that you are a person's livelihood and you got to let them go. But I think everyone is used to the employment and unemployment world by now. So it'll be okay. I am a lot lenient, though, on the younger kids that, they're like 18, 19, 20 years old. They really don't know about work ethic. So I give them a lot more chances.
Hmm. Okay, you said something too that really I want to elaborate on before we go. It's almost over. I hate this, but I have to bring you back on, but on the podcast next time. But so why is it important to have a CPA, aka accountant, for your business?
Man, like, you think you can really handle it? Like, when you start off, you can, but once it grows to a certain level, you cannot. You know what I'm saying? And by having one at the very beginning, you're already acclimated to them. And not only that, they're already, watching over your funds and making sure you're delegating in the right place and all of this. And so it can be very, very beneficial to how your company grows, you know? So I think it's so important for you to get it. Now, I will say this: never trust anyone completely with your money. Okay. I think it's a necessity to have an accountant, but it's a necessity for you to follow up behind your accountant all the time. Like, have a real routine every week or every month for you to do the books behind your accountant, because the world is crazy and embezzlements are real. You know what I'm saying? So definitely pay attention to your accountant, but hire an accountant. Okay.
I agree with that. Look, I agree. Look, when I filed taxes by myself, when I first started off, I owed a lot of money to IRS because they said I was mixing my personal with my business. And, and they was like,
Yeah.
Mr. Wash, the amount of money you made, I mean, I'll never forget that. I called her. She said, Mr. Wash, the amount of money you made, you knew better than to try to do this by yourself. I said, you know what? You're right. I can't get mad. But I would have paid
Yeah,
that
you're
money
right.
anyway.
It's the
But
truth.
yeah. He'd be like,
And
damn,
I
I'm
did
trying to
that too a couple of times. Like, yes, I did that a couple of times. I tried to do my taxes myself. Like, but once I got to a certain level, right, I was like, I can't handle this. And then I got a CPA. I didn't like her at all. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm like, man, I gotta pay these taxes. I need the accountant Jay-Z and Beyonce got. The JC say he'll pay, he get off with all of it. Can you please refer your accountant to me? So but I would like to give a shout out to um business taxes. The business tax accountant, Tanya Clark, is amazing. She's always posting things about, how small businesses can optimize their taxes and write off things that we literally are spending money on. Another reason why we need an accountant is because they can actually keep track of all of our fees and expenses and stuff that we're spending out, so that we can get a tax break from all of the things that we're doing. When we doing it ourselves, we gonna go to the gas station, we gonna pump that gas, throw that receipt in that, or for me, throw the receipt in the purse. I don't know what that receipt at the end of the year. You know what I'm saying? Like, but if I have someone who is holding me accountable for that, then I know at the end of the week, or via email, or via my bank statements, or wherever the case may be, that they're looking for and they're asking me, oh, okay, so what did you spend, or this is that and the third. So it definitely just helps your overall process from financing. And I don't think that in the African American community with small businesses, that we are taught to have accountants and at a small level, and also how to deal with finances. Because I started my company so young and was self-made, finances was the last thing I was educated on. I was too busy making the money. But along with making the money, we have to know how to invest it and how to make sure we're operating our companies properly with it.
Yes, and I'm going to bring you back on. I want to ask more questions, but we really have. God, I hate we gotta go. But for the people who want, so I call this segment. This is the best segment of the show. So I call this segment the guest spotlight. So this is where each guest on the show can come on and just tell people what you have going on. How can they follow you? How can they connect with you?
Oh, thank you so much. So listen, guys, I am facilitating an amazing initiative called the Small Business Project, where we are helping 100 businesses bring their businesses to life from conception to reality over a 6-month term, working with myself alongside 3 other experts. So you do not want to miss this. When I say this isn't to come and learn, this is to come and execute. This is to come and build your brand. This is to come and be mogul. And that's just that. And I have a million other things, but of course, we already ran over time. So you guys are going to have to follow me on my social media platforms. And one of them is scrolling across the screen here. I'm that girl, Natasha, and that is on IG. And then you can find me on Facebook, which is my favorite platform. You can find me Natasha Lee there, and that's where you get all of the tea. You're not gonna get really a lot of tea on the IG pages, okay? But on the IG page, you'll be able to find all the other businesses that I'm involved in. Follow me on those pages. Don't forget to check out the Small Business Project, and that's smallbusinessproject.org. And join us. We're gonna make you a mogul.
Yes, yes. Well, Natasha Lee, I want to say thank you for coming on. Like I said, I thoroughly enjoyed this conversation. I'm able to reach out to your publicist and get her coming on my podcast. So thank you guys. This is the end of Let's Talk with Rodney. We have a show next week, so I'm not going to be gone for another 3 weeks. So we have a show next week, and stay tuned and make sure you share this show and support Natasha. Okay, you guys? Till next time, be blessed and be safe.
Thank you for having me.